What's going on, y'all? Gonzo's Convos, season 6. We're on the next episode. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Lydia Warren. It's nice to meet you.
So go ahead and tell everybody what exactly you do.
I'm a professional MMA fighter.
Word. No, I'm not professional though. Yeah. So how long have you been professional though?
I made my pro debut in 2022, maybe.
2022.
Yeah, I want to say
Okay.
2 years ago.
And then before that, like you're just doing amateurs for a lot of years, or
Yeah, I had 4 amateur fights. So I think I made my amateur debut. I want to say in maybe 2018,
yeah.
and then went pro a couple years later.
Okay. So what got you into wanting to fight and get in the cage and stuff like that?
Honestly, I could not tell you. I always kind of was like athletic growing up, but I never really did much with it. I didn't really play any sports or anything.
Yeah.
Um, but I always liked things like that. I got kicked off of my basketball team when I was little for being too aggressive to the other girls. Just like
Yeah.
things like that where it's kind of like, okay, that kind of makes sense. And then one day I remember one of my friends was like, I'm going to go to an MMA class. And I was like, that sounds fun. And I went, and he ended up quitting, and then I stayed with it. And then here I am
Oh yeah.
8 years later.
So you ended up falling in love with it and everything. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So, and you're currently with what promotion again?
So I'm not signed to anybody. I fought my last two with PFC,
Hmm.
but I'm not exclusively signed to any organization right now.
Okay. I was always curious on how all that promotion type stuff works. Like it's kind of interesting,
So
but
like, yeah, a lot of them will try to get you to sign like multi-fight deals. I kind of
yeah,
don't want to do that just because like I would if the promotion was right and I knew that they had a good amount of girls to match me with. It's just that sometimes like it's tough because they'll have a certain number of girls that they have, but then like those girls don't want to fight me or they don't want to fight. You know what I mean? So it's just like
yeah,
then you're stuck in a contract where it's kind of like, yikes. So I
yeah,
just kind of want to have that open. So if somebody else made an offer, if somebody couldn't find me a fight, but they could, like, outside of the UFC, I don't really want to sign a multi-fight deal. If that makes sense.
yeah. Most fighters really don't. They just want to, you know what I'm saying. But my thing is at least for me, for because I'm not pro or anything, but I'll still do like compete and stuff like that. And since I'm flyweight 125, there's not many guys that are willing to cut down to 125 or that are around that weight, so it's kind of difficult for me as well.
I
So
don't
I
know.
can.
Well, you're an amateur, so I don't know, but we have a good amount of like flyweight guys that are pros at least. Most of it, I feel like everybody as amateurs fight up a weight class, so it is a little tough.
Yeah,
I've seen some guys fight at 15 before on cards when I was an amateur, but as far as pros go, there are a lot of flyweight guys that I
yeah,
personally know. You know what I mean?
yeah. Do you feel like they should add more weight classes to MMA, or do you think it's great? It's great with where it's at.
If they do, it's only a couple that would make sense. Like honestly, like the 145 women's division kind of sucks. Like I get it, but there's just not that many girls at that weight, and then
Mhm.
anything than that is just like that doesn't make sense. Um, but like guys, I think one. I think if they did like 165, I think that'd be cool for guys, just because like there are a lot of guys that are in between that range of like they're a little bit too big to make 55, but a little bit too small for 70 or whatever. I've seen
Yeah,
if I was going to make a definitive statement on that, I would say that that would be the only weight class. I mean, it's the only weight class that's like a little bit different than the rest of them. Like they all
yeah,
go in
true.
tens, and then there's like 155 straight up to 70. So like it
Yeah.
would make
And
sense
it
to
kind of throws off like middleweights, like what 185 or something. It kind of throws it off after that. Like
yeah,
it's kind of weird.
it's like a 15-pound jump from that, and then a 15-pound jump down. It is odd that weight class, but I mean it works for now. But if
Yeah.
I was gonna say to add any of them, it'd be 165 probably.
For sure. I feel like they should just add like they should have kept it by that five base, like one or the 10 bases, like 125, 135,
Yeah,
145. Even
yeah.
sometimes even
Yeah, unless they wanted to do like the boxers do, and they go like up every like 5 pounds.
Right.
Like there's
Yeah.
a bunch of people that would be fighting each other like I'd fight somebody at 120 or you know what I mean? Like there'd be a lot more opportunities for matchups, I feel like maybe, but that's also a lot to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
That many.
Now, what about a 115 men's men's weight class? Would that you think that would work or?
I don't know if it's a. I know a couple guys that could make it. There's like one guy at my gym that I think could make 115. Um, I've seen 115 guys though. When I was an amateur, there was two pro 115 guys on the card with me. I want to say, but that's the only time I've seen it.
Hmm.
A lot of the time, it just depends on how high you walk. You know, like I have a friend that he walks around at like 135, could easily make 15, but then
Yeah.
like 125 guys walk around at least 45. You know
Yeah.
what
True.
it,
Yeah.
it, it is, but I mean, he does well at 25. He beats those guys up. You know what I mean? It's give or take. So
Right.
just
So what I like about one championship is like they fight at what they walk around at. That's what I like. So a lot
but
of
it
people.
kind of ends up being like a weight class up. Like if I fought for one, I'd end up fighting at 125 because it's like a healthy weight cut I can make, and it's
Yeah.
really still fighting the same size guys. You're just not having to cut the weight. Another thing about one is that the guys over there are a lot smaller. Usually, like in Asian countries, they're a lot smaller. So a 115 division makes sense over there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, there's just a lot more competition that could work there. But as far as like here, I don't know. I've only seen it happen one time.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like they should just cut out the weight cutting and then just have people fight at what they walk around at. I think that's what they should do. Because I would still be at 125. Like I could still make that. I'm
Tough to
pretty small
control.
myself.
It's just tough to control. One is the only one that can kind of do it, and it's tough to control. Who's to say that I didn't just diet really hard for like 6 weeks and still cut?
Yeah. True.
You know what I mean? It's just kind of like versus you can never really trust that somebody would or wouldn't uh, cut weight
Yeah.
properly.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. But getting into the topic, 'cause I like talking to me. I could talk about that shit all day. But getting into the topic at hand, about this generation, with relationships, social media, all that type of stuff. What are your overall thoughts about this generation?
Um, I don't know because I'm kind of like kind of old school now. I'm 28 years old. You know what I mean? I don't really keep up with a lot of stuff. I'm just kind of a homebody. But like I
Yeah.
can imagine that I've seen a lot of things online that I'm like, this sucks. But I'm glad that's not me. You know what I mean? I was like, get it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. I see what you mean. But like my thing is for me, my personal opinion, I feel like this generation's kind of going downhill. Like it's gonna keep going downhill type of deal. As far as like relationships go, and like I feel like social media kind of hypes up the way things are now, if that makes sense.
Well, it's kind of like a little bit is the accessibility. If you're discussing like relationships and stuff, it's kind of like there's more accessibility to a lot of things online. If you lack the self control and understanding of like who you are as a person, it's kind
Yeah.
of you fall into that trap a little bit. And it's like if somebody's gonna cheat or not cheat or whatever, that's on them, and they're gonna do it regardless of whatever it's there. That's just part of who they are. But I mean, I could imagine like the internet hasn't helped, but also like who are we to say? Because who knows? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And it's probably hard, like as a professional fighter too, like to have a relationship because you're kind of busy, like constantly. No, you don't
No,
think so?
well, me and my boyfriend are very much in love, and but I could imagine yes in certain aspects, but me not so much.
Well, that's good. I mean, I know a lot of people that struggle kind of with that because they're like in the gym constantly and training constantly, so
Sure. Well,
it
it
kind
helps.
of like it.
Also a fighter, so we just go to the gym together, and it's you know what I mean. Like it
Yeah,
makes
yeah.
uh,
Okay, so that makes it easier then, like
yeah.
versus if wasn't a fighter, like
Yes, it would be tough to do that,
yeah.
especially a sport like this.
Because I knew a lot of people that struggled with keeping relationships and stuff like that because they had that distance blockage from how busy they were, and even I did too. Like that's kind of why I struggle with it too. I don't know. It's just one of those things. Like I feel like people kind of just get that distant feeling, and then they're ready to just leave and then go on to the next person. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it is. I mean, that's the world we live in a little bit, where it's like something doesn't work out. Here's the next best thing. Now just move on. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people are just kind of adapted to the idea of like, oh, so that doesn't make me feel good, but this over here could make me feel good. And it's like a cycle because it's just like, cool. Okay, so you're miserable in your relationship with your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever.
Right.
You're gonna go, oh, this guy makes me happy. This guy makes me feel. This girl makes me feel this way. But it's like, okay, cool. And then 6 months from now, you're gonna feel the same way. It's just
Yeah.
kind of those things where it's just that's more of a personal, I feel like, a thing you have to get past yourself before you have to like understand that about yourself. You know what I mean? Be like look at yourself and be like, okay, so why do I feel this way right now? Is it this person or is it something that's happening in me and I'm
Yeah.
feeling way towards this? You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
the world we live in.
But see, that's also what I would consider like a mature way of going about it versus what actually happens around us is not always that case. You know what I mean?
You know what I mean? I wasn't always like that. I've seen that. I've made mistakes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've grown up, realized things about myself. Well, this didn't work out because of this. Like I'm doing this wrong. It's a lot of times. Another thing is, again, with the accessibility and stuff, people don't really take the time to sit down in a quiet room and be like, what am I messing up? You
Right.
know, a little bit. So it's just like, what is toxic about me? What is bad or good about me? What am I doing right or wrong? And it's
Yeah.
like instead distract themselves. It's the same idea as like getting drunk because you're sad about your breakup. It's like, is that really going to help you, or is that just
A coping mechanism. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, I get it. Like, yeah, my thing is like I've met people that were like in their 30s and their 40s that still have like that same mindset, and it's kind of baffling to me because you would think like if they are up there in age, like they would actually know a
sure?
lot more about this type of
But
stuff.
again, they just never took the time to do it. I mean, I work in a bar. I'm a bartender. Most of
Mm.
the that I see every day are like 40s. You know what I mean? They're still, and it's fine, but they're still getting drunk every day, doing this and this and this every day, making this mistake, making this like. But again, it's a temporary fix. It's the easy route to take.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to sit in a dark room and cry about what they're doing wrong. Nobody wants to take the time to be like, wow, I'm a fuck up. You know?
Right.
But
Yeah.
I think age doesn't really matter in that aspect. It's just something that either somebody's going to do or they're going to keep repeating the same cycle until they don't, you know?
Okay. I get what you're saying. So you're saying it's more so like a mindset type of thing.
Kind of, yeah. I feel like it's a mental thing. You have to get through.
Yeah. I got you. I got you. Yeah. Most people, I'm just gonna say people my age don't think about that stuff. Like when they're in these relationships, they're kind of just like, I don't see any problem with me, but with my partner, there's this, that, and the third, and it's like you can't. I feel like you can't really be like that. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to look at the faults on both sides, not just on one person. If that
100%.
makes sense.
100%.
You
That's
know?
I mean, you're responsible for your own actions. You're not responsible for your partners. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's just like you have to take the time to realize what's good, what's bad.
Yeah. So based off like what you've seen, like what do you think is the main cause of why most relationships aren't lasting?
I feel like probably selfishness is the most. A lot of people, when you hear people, me and my boyfriend were just talking about this the other day too. Is like when you hear people talk about their partners, sometimes like they're like kind of hateful. Like you do
Yeah.
nothing. You know what I mean? It's just like they'll be like, oh, like my girl, blah blah blah, or my boy. Like it's like you don't respect him or her. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, why are you dating them? But it all comes back to like selfishness, and then it's kind of just like you guys aren't on opposite teams. Like you're supposed to be together and being like, okay, cool. So we both want this to work. We
Yeah.
want to be here, and we're choosing to be here. So like, this sucks right now, but like it's gonna be fine tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's interesting that you said that, like, because I've noticed like most married people kind of talk that way, like where they're like, "Oh, my wife does it, my husband does this," but it's not like positive.
And
I've actually noticed that.
it can't work if you don't. You know what I mean? Like it cannot work if you're not willing to make compromises. Think about
Yeah,
like growing up when you have. Do you have a brother or sister?
yeah. Younger brother, younger sister.
Sibling, and like you can't get rid of them, but like when you guys would fight, you guys have to come to a conclusion, or you guys like you just never talk, and it's like one of those things. It's like, hey, cool, I'm not willing to break up with you over this, so we're gonna have to get over it. We're gonna have to talk about it. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like one of
Yeah.
making sure that that's not really an option. Minus anything, if you're choosing the right person, if that makes
Mm,
like minus any like abusive or like whatever that is, don't
yeah.
be and make that work. That's fine. I understand that. Or like infidelity, stuff like that. I get that. But like if you're with somebody that's actually genuinely good for you and you're good for them, the compromise is always going to be worth it. You know what I mean? Like the fight is never going to be big enough that it's like this should,
Yeah.
you know?
True. So then, why do you think like people, I don't know, try not like they don't want to make it work, like they just kind of just give up after like one fight or like one argument. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Because it's, that again, that temporary pleasure. You know what I mean? It's just like the temporary relief of like, I'm free of that. I don't have to feel this pain.
yeah.
But it's just kind of like, was that better? It's just like chasing temporary pleasure. I feel like a lot of times.
So kind of just getting with basically getting with someone for not the right reason, basically, right?
Sure.
Okay, yeah, I could see that. Either that or I don't know, like they just I've seen some like they get pressured into being with somebody too. I've seen that happen sometimes. If
Sure.
that makes sense. But I don't know. It's a I just feel like this is a weird overall generation for relationships and stuff like that. And I feel like social media doesn't really help with that at all.
Yeah, it's a factor for sure.
So why do you think it's a factor?
I mean, it's the world we live in. You know what I mean? Like it's part of it. People make their money on social media now. Like it's
Yeah,
something that you have to deal with regardless, whether or not it becomes like a detriment to you or your relationship or whatever. Is It's kind of like an individual thing. Like you kind of choose that a
yeah,
little. You have again, you might have more access to a way of cheating, but if you're not a cheater, kind of doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It's just like it's just another avenue, I guess, in that sense.
I got you. I feel like kind of like going off of what you said. I feel like social media also kind of tends to like make trends out of being with multiple people. Have you noticed that type of deal?
Yes, yes.
So where do you think that's coming from? Like why did that become a thing? Do you think?
I think people kind of I think it's kind of cool to like not. I think it's cool to not be vulnerable and not like be like, oh, my entire heart belongs to this one person. You know what I mean? It's just a little bit easier because you don't end up, you're not in the space to look stupid in front of a bunch of people. It's just easier. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So if you pretend to be like the cool guy or whatever and do those things, it's like cool, like that's gonna help. But again, when you go home at the end of the day, is that really what you want? You know what I mean? It's all individual choices, I guess.
yeah. And then I don't know. I see most. I don't really see like most of the toxicity type of stuff with that on Instagram as much as I do on TikTok. If that makes sense.
For
I
sure.
see it mostly on TikTok, and
I feel like a little bit younger crowd and also a little bit more like viable to share anything.
yeah,
Instagram's a little like more highlight reel. TikTok, you might like scroll down and somebody's going to the bathroom. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like people post anything on there. So I feel
yeah.
like
It's definitely a what the fuck type of app, but I see. I don't know. I see just like whenever I go on to like the lives and stuff like that, because sometimes like I'll just scroll through whatever and lives will pop up, and it'll be like nothing against women, obviously, but it'll be a woman talking shit about dudes and this and like her past relationships. And I feel like she's kind of explaining her past, her bad past that she had with past relationships, and then bringing it forth and including all men into that type of category. And I see that happen a lot too.
I did just see a video making fun of women actually that do that yesterday, which was kind of funny.
Really?
But it's just kind of like that's an individual problem. That's something that's going on with her. That's like, hey, grouping everybody together. Okay, so that doesn't make sense. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
definitely.
Like somebody kills your dog, or somebody murders your parents. You know what I mean? And then the next person you meet, you're like, you're a murderer too. That does not make sense.
Right. Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. Whether or not like that happened to you before, or even on multiple occasions, cool. I get
Yeah.
that. You can't say that everybody does that. You know what I mean? It's just that's not reality.
Yeah, that's pretty much that logic, which I didn't think made sense either. You know what I'm saying?
But
And
also, like, if you believe yourself to be a good person and you believe yourself to be worthy or willing to do those things, then why would you say that nobody else in the whole entire world could also be that way? Just wouldn't.
yeah, it's just I don't know. It's a weird mindset that I've seen, and I don't know. And then the other thing is like her homegirls will back her up on it, like hell yeah, fuck guys, all this other shit, and it's like this is
Again,
just encouraging it.
again though, how old are these girls? You know what I mean? It's just like
Probably older than me, I would think.
maybe
Probably.
actually I do know girls, but
Yeah, they probably old. Yeah, because I'm 22 and they look like they're probably like 25, 26 maybe. So.
yeah, that's just something going on with them.
But like I said, like I could hope, like I said, I could hope that the generation like socially. I'm not even just gonna like say relationship wise, just socially, because I feel like socially, like people aren't as social at all. I feel like it's just gonna keep getting worse, but I hope it gets better. That's all I can say. You know what I'm saying? But like, what really can people do to like make it better, like socially?
I feel like if you understand how people work and understand that like all of us are just trying to figure it out as we go. And if you want people around you to be cool with you and like you, all you have to do is be nice to them. It's so even people like I've had people that hate my guts and I'll just go up to them, compliment them and like say something, "Oh, you're so good at this, blah blah blah. I wish that I could do this like you do it." And then all of a sudden they're my best friend. It's pretty simple like you don't have to try that hard, like just be nice to people. Even
Yeah,
if even if they're not nice to you, just try it and it works every time. It's even if they know you're doing it. You know what I mean? They can't help but be like, "Okay, I like that girl." You know what I mean?
yeah, true. But that's like an in person thing, which is cool. Like that's why I feel like people need to start talking more in person and stuff like that. Versus if it was like I don't know something like this or like a random call or whatever, it's different. Like you could be nice and then the person would still probably not be as nice. Maybe I don't know. I just feel like it's different over technology versus
Yeah, because people are more willing to say things they wouldn't normally say over.
over the internet. Yeah. Like how many, like how many? I'm gonna call them keyboard warriors. How many keyboard warriors do you have on your that comment on your shit all the time?
Honestly, you know what's super funny is I have a few of them that hate on me a lot, but a lot of my fans will come in pretty hard to have my back, and it just cracks me up every time because I really don't even need to say anything. Most of the time, they're just kind of like right off the bat, which
Yeah, ready to back you up. And that's a loyal fan base right there. Definitely. You know what I mean? Um, and then what, like on the DM part, you get like weird DMs too sometimes from like random people.
some, but not too many. I feel like I do a pretty good job online of carrying myself as a like respectable woman. You know
Oh
what I
yeah,
mean?
absolutely. Yeah,
No offense to anybody that does or doesn't. It just like as myself, I do try to do a good job of being like, hey, so that's not what I want.
yeah,
Sometimes people don't really. There's a few obviously that go out of their way and do it, but for the most part, I'm not really like attracting that type of attention. It's more like, cool, she's a fighter and like we like her. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's just like a weird thing that some people have. I don't know, but no, I agree. I definitely think that the way you have your Instagram and all that stuff, it's respectable for sure. I mean, it got me to reach out, to invite you on the podcast. So I mean, it's cool. You know what I'm saying? And I like the content you put out there, and I don't know. It also seems like it's very inspiring too. For people that want to train but never got around to it. They probably see what you're doing and be like, I could probably do that and want to try it.
Yeah, I mean, I went for broke on it. You know what I mean? Like, I was in college and like straight up just dropped out and like moved across the country. And there's no real backup plan. You know what I mean? It's just kind of
Yeah,
like, but like at the end of the day, too, it's kind of like you can't really have a backup plan. It either has to work or you'll figure it out. You
right. So for people like that want to train and that want to get into that type of lifestyle, but don't have the money to do it, what is your advice for those
don't
individuals?
really need money to do a sport. You don't. You know what I mean? Like for the most part, like you need to get gear and stuff, but like even just starting out, there's plenty of like content on YouTube and stuff that you could just pretty much train yourself at this point. Like you
Yeah,
don't.
true.
It comes to a point in time where you're gonna need, if you really want to fight and stuff, you're gonna need sparring partners and you're gonna need coaches and stuff like that. For the
Yeah,
most, like you could kind of figure it out by yourself at home. There's
yeah,
plenty of like opportunity with YouTube and stuff like that, and like online coaching and stuff like that.
yeah. That's true.
I mean, I know a coach that'll literally have you send him in a video of you hitting the bag. He'll tell you everything you're doing wrong or right, and then just send it back. You know what I mean? It's just like there's plenty of opportunities, and even it still there's gyms everywhere too. Whether or
Yeah,
not best ever, it kind of doesn't matter. Like if you're starting
as
out,
far as the start, yeah, yeah. That's the only thing that gets me. I would think is like the gym fees and stuff because that's what a lot of people are worried about is like gym fees. Like if they want to actually get the real experience of training and being around other people and
uh,
being coached, the gym fees.
it comes back to like I mean, most fighters I know are broke. You know what I mean? Like they don't have a lot of money, so like
Yeah,
it's a poor man's sport.
yeah,
You know,
definitely.
and there's really not that much. I mean, there's money to be made if you're the best.
Yeah,
If you're not, like, there's not really that much money. Like, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't really take that much money to do the sport. I mean, at a certain point, it will, but beginning, there's plenty of access to like really.
I definitely will say I think fighters definitely need to be paid more for sure. You know what I'm saying? Like if you like, yeah, it might not have been around as long as boxing, and boxers get paid like a shit ton just to show up and step in a ring. But I feel like UFC fighters, like or MMA fighters, they just kind of I
I
don't
kind
know.
of agree with that. I feel like there's certain times where I'm like, cool, yeah, but like the top guys in the UFC are getting paid a lot. And even like the starting pay in the UFC, and then the guys that aren't getting paid that much in the UFC, it's kind of like you kind of don't deserve to be paid that much. You know what I mean? It's like the boring fights.
Yeah,
Like, I mean, there's certain scenarios where I'd be like, for sure that person isn't getting paid enough.
yeah,
Maybe get a better manager, but like for the most part, the top guys are getting paid money,
yeah,
money, and we're only talking about 15 minutes. You know what I mean? What is the worth of that?
yeah, yeah. That's true. That is true.
And you're signed to a contract in the UFC at 150 grand.
Yeah,
That's so much money. That's so much money. Like a doctor's making what in a year? You know what I mean? It's just like I don't know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, you're right. Like for 15 minutes, that is a lot. But I'm saying like compare it to
Are
like I'm
boxers
comparing.
are paid more for sure, but it's kind of like I don't think UFC fighters are getting paid nothing either.
They're not getting paid. They're kind of like in the middle. Like they're not getting paid enough, but they're not getting paid too less. If that makes sense. But at the same time, like I feel like it's all about the pay per views and stuff like that. Like you had McGregor who was just making shit tons off of pay per views and selling fights, right? Versus Brandon Moreno, the ex 125 champ. I don't think he was making nowhere near as much as when he was a champ. If that makes sense.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. And then it's like in that scenario, you're the champion. maybe you get a better manager because why aren't you making enough?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like they could be negotiated for more for sure if you're worth it. Also,
Yeah.
that's just kind of like how many people are buying it because of you. You know what I mean? Like you do have to like factor that in a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. I don't know. I didn't know that was like a manager thing, but I mean, it makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah. The managers are. I mean, when you're talking with these managers, they're the ones that are talking to the UFC. They're the ones talking to the promoters, getting you paid. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
right now, it kind of doesn't matter. I'm just trying to get to the UFC. I don't care that much about what I'm getting paid because like I have a job too. But it's like
Yeah.
when you see my manager better be doing his job well to get me paid good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I got you. So, as far as like future goals in the fighting game, like what are your future goals as far as like getting like what promotions and all that type of stuff?
The UFC. I'd like to be a UFC world champion. A
You see
100.
what's now?
Give me like 5 years.
And women's bantamweight, right?
No, no,
145.
no. I'm a strawweight.
Strawweight. Oh, okay. I thought I heard you say 145. My fault.
No, I was saying 145-pound division we should just get rid of.
Oh yeah. True.
But I
Yeah.
would say if you were gonna ask me what divisions I would say kind of aren't great, it would be that one probably.
125. Okay. I think that's a good solid division for sure. 125.
No,
Alexa Grasso.
I'm
150.
yeah. My last fight was at 25, but I'm a 115.
115. So I'm trying to think who's at 115. Now, I haven't kept up with
It's the deepest female division for sure in the UFC.
115.
So
I believe it.
Bailey Rose used to be. She just went up to 25, but she used to be it. You know what I mean? Like
And Alexa Grasso's 125, right? Yeah.
fight at 15, but she's a 25 right now.
Okay. It seems like they a lot of them like to go back and forth to kind of test the
A lot
waters.
of a lot of them too. When they get older, go up a weight class just because like weight cuts get a little bit tougher, and you know,
Yeah.
it's just a lot of factors in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. Have you ever had like a like well obviously I think you've had the walkouts and stuff like that. What does that feel like being able to like, walk out and just like a crowd around? Like what does that feel like?
To me, like I honestly do a pretty good job of being calm and stuff, and I kind of love it. Like that's one of my favorite parts because like you
I
get
feel like
to
that'd hype me the fuck up for real.
song. It's a whole thing. Like you can make it anything you want. You know what I mean? Like this is really the time where you get to be creative and like get the crowd to really like you, which in turn is how you get paid a lot of money.
Get more money, yeah.
Some people kind of like, oh, it's stupid. Like who cares? But at the end of the day, you kind of have to have a gimmick. You kind of have to have a reason that people want to watch you. It's
Yeah.
like walkouts, one of the easiest ways to do that, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially if you get like Israel Adesanya when he did like the dance thing, like that shit got him.
Super
Yeah.
love that. It goes viral. People love it. And then people watch your next fight because of it. You'll get paid a little bit more money.
Yeah. You can also go like a like a Diaz route and just not give a fuck and just kind of have like that thuggy mentality and
Well, the Diaz brothers really are kind of like that. But again,
yeah,
regardless of it's real or not, it's still a gimmick. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, or watching them because they like this certain aspect about him. They kind of don't care about like anything else, but because he's kind of a gangster and that's why they're watching him. Again, kind
yeah,
of, you know what I mean? It works.
yeah.
Like,
I
you have
got
to
you.
find something.
And then him and Masvidal are having their fight July 6th, I think, right?
Yeah, I think it
July
is.
6th. So who are you going for that fight?
I don't really care. They're
No.
both. I fought for Masvidal's promotion. I like him. He's cool. He's
Yeah.
all nice to me. But I do like the Diaz brothers. I think they're cool. I like their gimmick. I like what they do. I think it's
Yeah.
super. I kind of don't really care who wins. It'll be cool. They're both older.
Yeah.
Like
It is kind of hard to kind of root for one. Like I like them both. Like I've rooted for both of them. Like
nostalgia fight at this point. Like people just want to see it because of who they are. Like it's cool. Like I don't think anybody really cares like how it's gonna go or not.
As long as one of them just doesn't get knocked out, like I want it to go to distance type deal. I want to be one of those type of fights, but it's hard like to pick one, like because you have people that are going for just Masvidal, people that are going for just Diaz. But for me, like it's always been hard to kind of pick because I like them both. Like I grew up watching both of them, so
Yeah, I'm with you.
Diaz longer, but you know what I'm saying. Like I like both of them.
I'm with you.
So it's kind of hard to decide. But if Diaz somehow wins, I mean, fuck it, he's probably gonna get more money. I don't know.
I
We'll
think
see.
both of them are older. You know what I mean? It's just gonna kind of be like
Yeah.
probably gonna be a good decision. I don't think there's that many rounds either. I don't remember, but I remember when I watched the press conference, it wasn't that many rounds. It's gonna be a pretty short fight, so I can't imagine it's gonna be
That
that.
that last press conference they had was wild as hell.
Yeah, where they fought each other. I saw the clips from it.
Yeah. I don't know, like so like when stuff like that happens, do you think like that's kind of staged a little bit, or do you think like that's like real shit, like they're actually beefing?
I think the Diaz brothers are actually like that.
They definitely are.
Time it's a little bit staged, but I think the Diaz brothers are actually like that. Like
Yeah.
the story about him beating up the guy, them both beating up the guy in the hospital. Do you know the story?
Yeah, it was Nick and I forgot who the one guy was.
Joe
The other
Riggs.
guy.
So he
Yeah.
fights Joe Riggs. They fight, whatever. Diaz wins. They both go to the hospital. Then Joe Riggs is like all fucked up in his room. Diaz is fucked up in his room. Diaz ends up walking by his room and then sees him, starts beating him up again in the hospital. And then he tells the story. Joe tells the story. He's like, then I see his brother come up and I'm like, oh, thank God, like somebody that gets your brother. And then he joins in and starts beating him up too. It's just hilarious. It's hilarious. It's real life. Like that really happened. He fought,
Yeah.
beat him in an actual fight, goes to the hospital, starts beating him up again. His brother joins in.
Yeah.
There's blood everywhere. Cracks me.
Yeah.
But
It's crazy.
they
But you
don't
gotta look at where they grew up too. Like, even like they even said like they grew up like they would go to parks and just fucking scrap with people and like that's how they, got into it.
yeah.
You know.
That's
In
what I
school.
they're actually like that. Most people, it's just kind of like it's kind of fake. They just want people to watch. But they actually do want to fight everybody. All
Yeah. Well, I feel like Masvidal is too, just because he was in that backyard brawling shit. You know what I mean?
a little bit, yeah. But I would say the Diaz brothers.
Diaz more, yeah, Diaz brothers more for sure. You know what I mean? And I don't know, like Nate, I think wasn't originally like training or something like that. And Nick was like forcing him to go train with him or something after he got in his first fight or something like that. I think I heard
Probably sounds about
something
right.
like that. But I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot of reasons why a lot of people like those fighters and stuff like that. But it's kind of crazy because like when you talk about like the female fighters, a lot of people can't name a lot of them. Like they can name like Amanda Nunes, of course Ronda Rousey, who's not fighting with UFC anymore, Alexa Grasso, but like they can't name like any others, like Felice Herrig or anybody else.
But it's because a lot of female fighters aren't that exciting to watch. Honestly, as a female fighter, a lot of them aren't that
At least, at least you just spoke the truth about it. You just straight up.
true. And if they don't like it, hey,
Yeah.
don't care. You know what I mean? But it's just like it's the truth. As a female fighter, a lot of them don't bring a lot to the table. They're not exciting. They don't have exciting personalities. Everybody wants to be the pretty girl that fights MMA, and then half of them aren't that pretty. And it's just like you have to find something. You have to have something. You have to either be
Yeah.
or do something else. You know what I mean? It's just like a lot of them don't do a good job of really promoting themselves in a way that makes people want to watch them.
See, I feel like that goes back to the generational thing because it's like you said, they're trying to be pretty and do this for the fans, but it's like that's what also a lot of females on social media try to do and try to portray themselves as is just like that pretty person that's gonna
Right.
attract all that attention. You know what I'm saying?
That's why I like, for the most part, the way I run my Instagram and the way I talk on interviews and
Yeah.
stuff like that. It's kind of like I want other girls to realize that you don't have to do that to be successful. Like you kind of like, again, I'm a pretty girl, and it kind of pisses me off sometimes because like I'll get deals with people and then I'll make like a super funny video for them, and they're like, kind of just want you to sit there and talk about our product, and it's just like, dude, like you don't want my creativity. You just think I'm pretty, and that's fine. I'll do that video for you. But like, also, it kind of is a drawback because it's like, damn, bro, like I'm funny, and you guys don't know it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Kind of like they're looking past your personality and just kind of looking at what's on the outside type deal.
UFC and like people see it more and more and more, and they're like, oh, cool, like she's actually cool. Like I'll have a
Yeah.
thing. I'll be like, okay, awesome, and it'll work better then. But like, sex sells, and a lot of women want to go that route, and it's just like cool, but then
Yeah.
don't
But it's
get.
like, don't you feel like because there's so many going that route that it's gonna be like overdone, overplayed type deal? Like they need to find something else.
It's 100% overplayed and overdone. And all respect to them, get your money, do what you want to do, and that's all. But like as far as like I'm concerned, it's like cool. Like I only really care about fighting, so like I'm not gonna do that because I want people to actually care about my fights. I want people to
Yeah.
actually, wow, she's talented and
Yeah.
cool. You know what I mean? It's just like there's one way to go about it, but it's just like also if everyone's doing it, it's just kind of like okay, you
Yeah.
know.
That's why I think it's cool that you're down to do podcasts and be a part of other platforms and stuff so that you can showcase your personality. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? That's why I think that's a really cool thing to do. I don't know if others are doing that or not, but I'd say props to you for doing that for sure. Going a different route and showing off that personality of yours. I think that's cool. And I could actually picture you like now that you're like now that we're talking longer, I could picture you like being at one of those press conferences and like just going back and forth with another female fighter. I can kind
Yeah,
of
I
picture
have
that.
a blast doing it. I cannot wait to do that again. Like,
Who was the last fighter you had that with?
honestly, nobody because, well, no. The last, my last fight or whatever, like, I just wasn't that confident yet. You know what I mean? I just kind of like did, I took a year off. So, like,
Yeah,
I got super fat, which is why I was fighting at 150 or 125. I got super fat. I was just kind of like too big, but also too small for the weight class, and then just like not very confident. Didn't really want to fight, and then I took a year off, lost like 30 pounds, and then now I'm ready to fight at 15 again. But now also in that year time, like I gained so many more skills, and then also just like more confidence in myself and understanding of like what to do next time. So
yeah.
like ever actually for real talk too much shit at like a press conference. I did on Instagram a couple months ago because this girl wouldn't sign a contract to fight me.
I
But
think I
then
saw a post about it. I think I might have. Yeah,
yeah, well it was because she, she was saying that I was too big and that she didn't want to sign a contract because I wasn't gonna make weight, yada yada yada, which is like understandable. I was huge when I fought at 25. You know what I mean? I was jacked. I was huge. So
yeah,
like if that's all you know me from, I would also be like, there's no way she can make 15. But it's also like, I just took a year off and I'm showing you. I mean, I stood on a scale for her.
hmm
You know what I mean? And she still wouldn't. So, like, she just kind of went on Instagram and was like talking. She
Sounds
posted
crazy.
and said, I just want to fight somebody that's not 30 pounds heavier than me, which shot at me 100% a shot at me. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, that's wild.
so I went and posted the SpongeBob meme, and I said,
hmm
"I'm gonna fight somebody this time." You know what I mean? And she
Yeah,
got
yeah, yeah.
so mad at me and was like, she like told the promoter, was just like, "I can't believe, why would she do that?" And it's like, so you were talking shit for. What do you mean? Why would? But
It's
then
like the
signed the contract, so it was like that's. But that was probably the only example of me actually doing that so far. Until the next time, I definitely will. This time.
yeah. I think that's crazy that she would go to the promoter even though she kind of started like initiated the shit talk. You know what I mean? Like
But
that's a little
hey,
crazy.
a lot of people don't have again self awareness.
Yeah. But I could tell I could tell you're ready to get back in it in the fighting and stuff like that. So when can people expect to see you fight again?
I am trying to get on a card for August 3rd. I'm currently in training camp for August 3rd. I haven't gotten a contract yet. They sent me like 2 or 3 girls the other day, and I was like, I will fight any of those girls. I don't care. So we're just kind of waiting to hear back from any of those girls to see if they're down. But I mean, I'm training like I'm going to fight August 3rd because I'm sure they can find somebody for me.
Oh yeah, for sure.
On fighting again, so I
Oh yeah.
can't.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. Shit. Well, hopefully they get you on August 3rd, and shit. I think it's cool that you're training hard for it, and hopefully you get that done. You know, I think that'd be I don't know. I think that'd be cool. Like if they gave you like someone from UFC, because I know you said you wanted to fight UFC, so I think it'd be cool if they just gave you someone right there.
I probably have like 2 more fights. I mean, it could be anywhere from 1 more fight to 3 more fights, depending on. But I mean, I could get signed to the UFC within the next 6 months if I play my cards right. You know, let's
Oh
say August 3rd, I go knock somebody out like crazy.
yeah.
They could sign me, or they might be like, we want to see her one more time. But either way, like I could still do that by the end of the year. It's not.
Yeah. Do you think like they would try to like invite you like on a contender series maybe like Dana White's contender series?
Yeah, I might be able to still make the ones for this year. I think that they've booked the first like 5 weeks of contenders. I don't know if they booked the last half yet. It's
Okay.
gonna get close though for August, but I could always be a late replacement. Like let's say like there's a 115
That
matchup
can't make it. Yeah.
and gets sick or one of them gets injured or whatever. I could definitely jump in on there. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Hope
Hell yeah,
so.
that'd be cool. Hell yeah. That'd be cool to see you on there and like later on see you like on a pay-per-view like main event card. Like I think that'd be fucking dope. You know. But we'll go ahead. We'll wrap up this episode. Don't want to take any much more of your time. Keep training. Keep doing your thing. I look forward to seeing you fight.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for having me.